This is Michael Popok. It's getting late. Must be time for Legal AF After Dark. You know who else it's getting late for? George Santos. Remember him? Used to be a congressperson on the MAGA side of the aisle. But then he decided, well, the right way to get elected was to cheat and steal my way into the voters' hearts. Well, how did that work out for him? Not well. After over a year and a half, an investigation that went relatively quickly with witnesses against George Santos lining up to say what a fraudster he was, he's now pled guilty to 8 different felony charges. He's pled guilty. We don't have to go through with a trial. And now it's on to the sentencing. Why did he plead guilty? Why was there no better deal offered by the Eastern District, New York Attorney's Office? Why are they willing to let the judge sentence him between 2 and 8 years instead of the 20 years that he would be entitled to? What's going to happen at sentencing? We break it all down for you on Legal AF. Take a listen. The dessert of George Santos. Why don't you lead on George Santos? Kind of start with, what was he charged with? I mean, we sort of all remember, but a lot of people are new to our audience. What was he charged with, and what's happened now with the plea of guilty today obtained by the Eastern District of New York, Eastern District of New York, U.S. Attorney's Office here in Brooklyn, just over the bridge from where I'm at right now.
Well, he pled guilty to wire fraud and identity theft, but I'm glad you asked me what he was charged with, because I was reading the statement that was released by the U.S. attorney, and the list was so long that I thought it was funny, and I screenshot it. So I'm just going to read from them. It says, Santos admits he filed fraudulent FEC reports, embezzled funds from campaign donors, charged credit cards without authorization, stole identities, obtained unemployment benefits through fraud, and lied in report to the House of Representatives. All of that. I mean, he was—
Is that all? Dina, you're being unfair. You're being unfair. You're being unfair. We're fair on Legal AF. Is that all he pled guilty to?
I know. Just that. I was like, are you kidding? It kept going on and on. I mean, he was one of the most corrupt elected officials ever. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes, our justice system, we can complain, is too slow, or, they seem to let some people fall through the cracks, but he was so glaringly bad. It was quick and he did not fall through the cracks. Definitely one of the most ostentatious and blatant frauds on the American people that we had seen in years, if ever, in modern history.
Yeah, Santos is he's by himself. I mean, they broke the mold when they made George Santos. I mean, he's busy making cameo appearances, and now he's on OnlyFans, not because I'm a subscriber, only because I've read about it. I can't imagine what that looks like at all. And what it shows you as practicing lawyers, let me give us a little bit of that flavor here from Dina and I to the audience. The fact that he had to plead guilty to that entire list of things, and his lawyers weren't able to even negotiate out like 2 felony counts, his lawyers, and he had no leverage whatsoever. He was dead to rights with the evidence. He had his former treasurer testifying against him, his former partner testifying against him. The records spoke for themselves in terms of the transfer of money, the fraudulent donations, the use of other people's money in the form of donations to his campaign to fund his lavish lifestyle. I mean, all of those V-neck cashmere sweaters in all those hues cost a lot of money. His complete redo of his wardrobe from the Brooks Brothers prison collection cost a lot of money. And so there was I could just picture the proffer and plus he drove them crazy. He didn't admit all this a year ago. He dragged it out and tried to impossible, but he tried to make the Eastern District of New York prosecutor's office look bad instead of cutting an early quiet deal. If he had cut an early quiet deal, he probably would have got a couple of counts. But because they made them spend so much time, money, and effort to get to this moment, which should have happened last summer, at least in the fall, a year ago, they were like, no, we are not offering. So I can see the meeting. Can we just plead to 2 felonies and you guys recommend a year? No. What else do you have? He has to plead guilty to everything. Here's our plea. Here's our plea deal. This is just to remind everybody, this is a plea deal. The only thing he got, if people are wondering why would he do this and not just take his chance with a jury, because he knows he's going to get convicted with a jury. And here he at least got the, I don't know what the sentencing recommendation is going to be. Maybe you caught it in the press release. I thought it was a minimum of 2 years, but I still think he's looking at 6 to 8 years in terms of prison and leaving it to the judge. I guess he could have gotten 20 if he or more if he was convicted of everything. So he's trying to at least cut that downside risk in half, if you will. Hope that the judge goes more towards the 2 from the 6 or 8. I think the judge, I want to hear your opinion. I think the judge gives him, says the calculus says 20. Government's recommending at least 6, no less than 2, but between 2 and 6 to 8. I'm giving him 7. What do you think he gets?
Yeah, I think he gets something pretty substantial. I mean, this is his first offense, right? Although his offense was so multiple, but you're right. He could get that range between 2 and I think it was 22. It's so serious when you deal with public corruption. The court system takes that very seriously. I mean, we punish, our sentencing in part is based on what that person did. So when he comes in front of the sentencing hearing, how remorseful is he? Can he even be remorseful? So that comes into play a little bit, what he's willing to admit to, so to speak, in terms of like remorsefulness. But also then it's about the public at large. We sentence people as a deterrent for other people to not do it. And because of that, the real seriousness, I mean, for campaign donations to be misused in that way, for people to not trust how their campaign money is going to go, is such a core part of our democracy. That judge has to take that so seriously, because the last thing you want is a whole bunch of George Santos. And to that extent is why I support us always having prosecuted Donald Trump, even though some people thought, oh, then, it makes the country more divisive and blah, 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 blah. You have to deter people like Donald Trump from committing more crimes. Sometimes it's not just about the person. It's because somebody next time is going to think, oh, he got away with it, then I'm going to do it too. I think that's the strongest argument for prosecuting Donald Trump. And I think it's why this George Santos, even though it's his first offense, and even if he tries to give a nice little speech during the sentencing hearing, I think he's going to get a substantial sentencing, like you said, because it's such a serious crime.
Welcome back. That was Legal AF. Look at that right there. We sit at the intersection of law and politics, so you don't have to. We curate a long format podcast we named Legal AF 4 years ago or so for a reason, and now you know why. And if you don't, join us on Wednesdays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here on this MeidasTouch network. It's free. Yes, I said free. Free subscribe. Help this network get to 3 million free subscribers before Labor Day. It's that important to us. We're growing organically by word of mouth. We've got no outside investors. We're completely independent. We're uncensored. We're unfiltered. We're unplugged. Sometimes we're unhinged in defense of democracy. And we'd like you to join us for the ride. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know, and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.